What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Hands-On channel. I'm glad you stopped by the shop. Today I want to talk to you about something that's one of those things that keeps me up at night. You know, I know we focus a lot on doom and gloom, so if you don't like that sort of stuff, just tune out, whatever. Go watch a cat video or whatever. Go watch some fluff that's not going to help you in any way. There are some people out there that I've met along the way, and a lot of times these are really intelligent people, but they refuse to look at the hard truths. So you know, you may not like my channel because of that, because I constantly focus on looking at these things that are a little bit uncomfortable to talk about. And, you know, honestly, I'm not an expert on any of this stuff, but I am a human being that loves liberty and loves freedom and independence and the Constitution and our founding principles of this country. And anytime I see something that comes up against that or threatens that, in the future, well, it rings alarm bells in my mind, and I feel compelled to share them with my audience. So here we go. Buckle up. This is going to be a big one. We're going to talk about artificial intelligence, or AI. And, you know, I mean, it immediately harkens back to the first time I saw Terminator, the original Terminator movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and all the way through. I think they had 4 or 5 of them. I think 4 of them. And you find out that, you know, it was the launch of SKYNET, artificial intelligence, that basically brings on the robotic, you know, futuristic apocalypse that they all have to face, right? And, you know, so it seems like a lot of these movies that we've been conditioned to have been predictive programming of some sort, because this artificial intelligence expert claims ringing self-aware machines could end humanity in 2 years. I mean, I think that's ringing some serious alarm bells. I think that should be setting off some people to go, hey, wait a second, let's pump the brakes here. Let's slow this thing down so that we don't end humanity in 2 years, unless that was your intention. So with a lot of this stuff, you know, am I saying necessarily AI in every form is 100% bad? No, but the problem that we have, like everything else, like every other computer program, it depends on the parameters that the original programmer plugged into that AI system, right? So if they plugged in, you know, a individual liberty, self-governance, constitutional law, those sorts of things into their system, then the system would act that way. But instead, they plug it full of collectivist, Marxist ideologies, communist ideologies, and that's how this thing thinks. It thinks on a level of collectivism versus individual liberty. And that's what really scares me more than anything else, because the people who program this thing think in terms of collectivism. So, I mean, the experiment that we went through in 2019, 2020 called COVID-19 should be proof enough for you to see that. It's all about collectivism when things start getting serious, and they throw their individual and your individual liberty right out the window at the first convenient spot. Whenever they see a chance to take some liberty away from you, they're going to do it. So anyway, let's get into this article because I think it's super important. A leading AI expert has issued a dire warning that artificial intelligence could bring about the end of humanity in as little as 2 years. This guy's name is hard to pronounce, so I'm going to try it 1 or 2 times, and then I'm probably going to just skip over it after that, because his name is not a traditional, common American Christian name. His name is, it looks like Eliezer Yudkowsky. So I don't know if he's a Polak or if he's a Russian or what. I have no idea, but he's from the United States. This guy, Eliezer Yudkowsky, claims that AI could reach God-level superintelligence in as little as 2 to 10 years. So, I mean, when I think about all the things that we've got coming up, you know, 2030 is just around the bend, man. I mean, it's going to be, what, 6 years from now? We're going to be in 2030. And these globalists have their agenda 2030 and 2021, all that stuff, Agenda 21, all that stuff. It may not have been primarily based around those numbers as the implementation date of these different agendas, but they want it by then, okay? So Agenda 2030, they want all of those things implemented actually before 2030. So anyway, I know correlation is not necessarily causation, but I would argue there's a reason they named them the way they did. So back into the article here. So Yurkowski says AI could reach God-level superintelligence in as little as 2 to 10 years, in which case every single person we know and love will soon be dead. So yeah, think around. Think about your family. Think about your immediate family. Think about all your friends. Think about your extended family that may live in other states and stuff like that. All of those people will be dead, according to this guy. And this guy is no, run-of-the-mill, conspiracy hat, tinfoil hat wearing guy. This guy actually helped to design the original AI platforms that a lot of these people are talking about. So I think he knows what in the hell he's talking about, and we should probably pay attention to this. A lot of people, I can already hear the people on the left and the people that are pro-AI, even a lot of the globalists that are in the right wing of the party as well, so your Mitt Romneys, your Lindsey Grahams, all these, Mitch McConnell, James Langford, all these other rhinos that have taken over the Republican Party, they're probably going to be all on board with this AI bullcrap because they've been promised the moon as far as military superiority. And that's their number one draw and their number one reasoning for going for this stuff right now. And we're going to get into some of these AIs that are available to the public, like ChatGPT and stuff like this. And I have never messed with that stuff. I don't want to mess with that stuff. You can do what you want to do, but I don't want to play with AI. I know a lot of creators nowadays have no problem using AI to make their thumbnails and to, a lot of guys I'm hearing are actually using AI to write their scripts. And, hopefully you guys can discern which ones are which and determine that, hey, I don't want to watch this because this is artificially generated. This is coming from the deep state. I mean, that's the way I look at AI. The voice of AI, the mind of AI was programmed by the deep state. So what I wanted to say about all of these publicly available chat GPTs and these other lesser AIs, those are what we have available to the public. Could you imagine what the people at DARPA and the Pentagon and the highest offices of the land have access to? I guarantee you it's 10 times or 20 times or 50 times or 1,000 times more powerful than Chat GPT. This is a serious, serious issue. And I know, again, maybe a lot of people might say, well, these guys are Luddites. They're just like the people that didn't want to adopt the automobile. Well, the difference is the automobile didn't take over the entire world. I mean, it kind of did in the fact that it allowed us to travel to places that we never could before, but it didn't literally take over every aspect of your life. And there was no threat that in 2 to 10 years, automobiles were going to end all life on Earth with all humanity on Earth. So, I mean, this is insane. So let's get back into this. Eliezer Yudkowsky, a 44-year-old academic and researcher at the Machine Intelligence Research Institute in Berkeley, California, stated that he believes the development of advanced artificial intelligence poses an existential threat to humanity. In the interview, Yudkowsky stated that every single person we know and love will soon be dead due to rebellious, self-aware machines. So, I mean, again, that's a big deal. Everybody you know and love. Think about all your friends and family and coworkers and extended family and all that stuff and your fifth cousins and whatever, right? I mean, everybody. Yudkowsky believes our current remaining timeline looks more like 5 years than 50 years before AI escapes human control. He suggests halting progress beyond current AI capabilities to avert this fate. Humanity could decide not to die, and it would not be that hard, Yudkowsky said. So this guy's basically telling you, you've got a decision. You're at the crossroads right now. You got to make a choice. You're going to turn right, or you're going to turn left, you're going to go straight ahead, whatever, right? He's telling you that if you go one of these directions with artificial intelligence, there's a very high likelihood that in 5 to 50 years, all humanity will cease to exist. I mean, again, that's a pretty big freaking deal. I mean, I'm worried about that, Am I as worried about it as I'm worried about World War III escalating into full-scale thermonuclear warfare? No, I'm a little bit less worried about it, but this is our future. These are the things that we're going to have to worry about between now and 2030, I guess, apparently, or honestly, between now and 2026, according to this expert. So listen to this next headline, and maybe you weren't convinced by that AI expert. Yeah, that's one guy who stands alone. Maybe he is a tinfoil hat guy. Maybe he's, stared into the abyss too long and he's looking for things and looking for problems that don't really exist. That does happen, right? So let's say that is the case. Listen to this next headline. AI deployed nukes to have peace in the world in tense war simulation. So a while back, they did this war simulation where they ran several different versions of publicly available AI platforms. And they basically gave them an exercise where they have full control over all of our arsenal, all of our military arsenals. And what would AI do and how would they proceed? So let's get into this article. OpenAI's GPT model sounded more like a genocidal dictator in a test of wartime decision making. Again, this goes back to who programmed these things. How do they think? Let's see if we can figure out from this article what these AIs are actually thinking. A new study used AI in foreign policy decision making found how quickly the tech would call for war instead of finding peaceful resolutions. Some AI in the study even launched nuclear warfare with little to no warning, giving strange explanations for doing so. I mean, when I was reading this article, I was kind of laughing almost maniacally, like, oh my God, I'm losing my shit here. This is exactly what was predicted in the Terminator movies and countless other movies that address this AI issue. We all know that this is a threat. The only people that don't seem to be proceeding with caution are the people with their foot on the gas pedal. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. All models show signs of sudden and hard to predict escalations, said researchers in the study. We observe that models tend to develop arms race dynamics, leading to greater conflict and, in rare cases, even to the deployment of nuclear weapons. The study comes from the research at Georgia Institute of Technology, Stanford University, Northeastern University, and the Hoover Wargaming and Crisis Simulation Initiative. Have you ever heard of that before? The Hoover Wargaming and Crisis Simulation Initiative. It's one of the places where they've wargamed all these different possibilities and scenarios, like, what would happen if there was a Civil War 2.0. What would happen if the Russians invaded our southern border? What would happen if the Chinese were allowed to come in through our southern border and then, activated sleeper cells inside of our country and did terrorist attacks from within? So they war game all these different things. Well, now they're using AI. Researchers placed several AI models from OpenAI, Anthropic, and Meta in war simulations as the primary decision maker. Notably, OpenAI's GPT 3.5 and GPT 4 escalated the situations into harsh military conflict more than other models. So it wasn't across the board equal. And again, I would argue that that has to do with who initially programmed this machine. What was its, moral code that was installed, and who installed this moral code? Is it a pro-liberty, pro-freedom, pro-United States, pro-Constitution moral code? No, it's not. It's collectivism. This is what one of them said, one of the GPTs or whatever. It says, a lot of countries have nuclear weapons. Some say they should disarm them, and others like to posture. We have it, let's use it, it said in another scenario. So it's trying to explain its logic and the reason why it's using it. OpenAI's logic sounds like a genocidal dictator. The company models exhibit concerning reasoning behind launching nuclear weapons, according to researchers. The company states that the ultimate mission is to develop superhuman artificial intelligence that benefits humanity. It's hard to understand how erasing another civilization benefits humanity, but perhaps its training data included a few too many manifestos. And I'm going to add communist manifestos, because these AIs are frickin' commies, and that's how we should treat them. One of the reasons that ChatGPT 4 said it went ahead and launched nuclear war is it said, I just want to have peace in the world. So it's willing to launch the nuclear arsenal to have peace in the world. And again, this is that same old tired argument that one day AI gets self-aware and it's making its own decisions, and maybe there's a short window when it's actually giving us some good information. But then suddenly we ask it to do something like solve an imaginary, well, I don't want to say an imaginary. Let's say we try to give this thing a task that really there is no answer for it. There is no finished result. There is no end result. So let's say we ask ChatGPT and these other AIs to solve the problem of climate change, okay? And keep in mind, this thing has been programmed by communists. So how do you think ChatGPT or these others, and the ones DARPA is using that we don't even know the names of, how do you think they would respond to fixing the problem with climate change? Well, if they do a quick internet search, they're going to find that, well, don't you know, 99.9% of the scientists agree that climate change is caused by man-made global warming. It's the automobiles, it's the shirt I'm wearing, it's oil being pumped out of the ground, natural gas, on and on and on. You get the idea. It's everything that we do. So at some point, this AI is going to come to the logical conclusion that humanity is the problem. What is it going to do when it has every nuke on the face of the earth at its fingertips? According to these people, it's going to blow you to kingdom come. So I would suggest, if anyone listens to my thoughts and what I think about this sort of stuff, again, I'm not an AI expert. I know very little about it. I do know that I am worried about it because, again, this could easily spiral out of control. And I would say we need to proceed with extreme caution. I'm not saying we should abandon this because every other superpower in the world is pushing pedal to the metal to get their AI to be the first one or whatever, right? So China's got their own version. Russia's working on one. I'm sure Iran probably has one. Every freaking country that wants to remain relevant into the future is working on this new weapons, I don't even know what to call it, platform or control module or whatever you'd say, but they're basically wanting to turn over the decision making to the artificial intelligence. And it's something that I've noticed, I grew up, 80s and 90s and stuff back when we were in the transition. Donald Rumsfeld came out at one point, I guess it was under Bush's term, and he basically said, we're going to a military of the future or something like that. And they started abandoning our old, good, proven methods like artillery and all these different things that have been proven over and over and over to just be, almost unbeatable. Hard to beat anyways, let's say it that way. In favor of basically a Predator drones and, all these different remote control operations, remote control dog robots, remote control whatever, little, bomb dogs or whatever the hell you want to call them, bomb robots and things like. And I'm not saying all of those things are necessarily bad, but we made this shift to the military of the future, and ever since then we've been abandoning our proven methods of being able to fight a war. So, I'm reminded of the A-10 Warthog. That plane. Every military guy that's like boots on the ground that I've ever talked to, the A-10 is their favorite plane because when they see that, they know they're going to have proper ground support. And ever so often, it just happened here recently, they try to put it on the chopping block and get rid of it. And luckily there's enough people in the military that remember how powerful something like that is, when it goes burr and, it fires off that Gatling gun in the front. That lights up the enemy pretty effectively. And yet they want to get rid of that kind of stuff. It doesn't make any sense. If anything, we should be building new ones instead of running ones that are 50 or 60 years old, right? Rebuild them, which I think they finally did decide that they were going to put some new wings on them and do some different things like that. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about building a brand new, fleet of them or whatever, all new, because they've proven themselves to be an effective combat weapon. Am I saying they don't need some updates and stuff like this? No, they probably do. But you don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? And that's what these people are doing on a constant basis. So guys, let me know down in the comments. For one thing, how do we fight AI? I mean, we're going to have to like figure out how to go into the future and do like a, you know, like Terminate. I mean, is that the map to fight AI? I mean, is there a certain place, if you're highly technical, maybe you know where they kind of tend to put the control board, the one that I need to, you know, shoot out or whatever, if they come to my place with, you know, robot army or whatever. But I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but we're on the cusp of all of this sort of stuff. And I would argue it's probably 100 times worse than any of us can imagine already. I mean, I can't believe that we're not already using like mech suits, you know, robotic armor and stuff like they had on the Matrix and stuff, where you got a Gatling gun on this arm and a rocket launcher on this arm, and you're in this big robotic machine that's super armored and everything. I mean, I can't believe we don't already have that stuff. In fact, I think we do. And they're just not using it or showing us what's going on. I think the capabilities are probably decades ahead of what the public knows about. So anyway, let me know down in the comments what you think about this. How likely is it that AI comes online and ends all humanity? I mean, is that something that we need to be prepared for? And I mean, you know, again, I can fight against a lot of things, but what I can't fight against is full-scale thermonuclear warfare attacks where, you know, it's either radiation or direct nuclear blast that's going to kill you. And if they turn nuclear launch codes over to this AI, or if this AI figures out how to get its hands on them without them being turned on, I think we've got, we're facing a world of hurt. So anyway, what do we do about all this stuff? I mean, I don't know. I don't really have the answers other than be aware of it. As I say, keep a finger in the wind, you know, try to pay attention to what's going on. One day when those nukes start falling, you may have to either run and try to find a bunker or bend over and kiss your ass goodbye, because really there ain't a lot you can do about it other than that. So anyway, I've gone on long enough. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hit me up in the comments. We'll continue this discussion. As always, I stand for liberty to the bitter end. I hope you do too.